All right, some quick thoughts on book one of the Green Bone Saga. There are three of them. Jade City. I saw this, it was everywhere a few years ago. Everyone was talking about it. I had picked them up, and they've been sitting on my shelf for a couple years and thought I would open one up. And overall, I have quite positive things to say about it. Now, a lot of the stuff that I really like, is probably closer to uh, character studies and more philosophical things or idea books. This is very much a modern urban fantasy, but it also has it has a lot going on for it. It does have a lot going on for it. Now, about 40 pages into it, and I just want to mention it because I like to find books that I can recommend to others. But about 40 pages into it, there's this, the sex scene that is just so explicit for whatever reason. And I always wish it wouldn't do that because it limits who I can recommend things to, and I don't necessarily want to read those. So I thought, oh shoot, is this what I'm going to be getting into for the whole book? And it was nothing like that for the rest of the book. It was just the one. So if that puts you off, just some of the descriptions of that first one, then I wouldn't fault anyone for putting down the book. I considered it because it's just not my thing to read that, but it was quite a gripping story. Now, this is very much a mafia type story about this island of Kikon and this city where things take place of Janloon. And within the city, there are a couple gangs. This is very much like a Hong Kong inspired gang kind of tale. In these dark areas on the side here, that is the Mountain Gang, and then towards the middle there is the No Peak Gang, and by numbers, the Mountain Gang is overall, uh, it does seem to have more bodies and more influence in a lot of ways, but No Peak, who we follow the characters of No Peak mostly, they are still strong and they are still loyal, and it has all that. Things that I like is there is echoing sort of structure of these clans. We have the Pillar, who is at the head. We have the Horn, which is either the Pillar's right hand or left hand, but is in charge of the military sort of operations on the street. And then the Weatherman is the other side of, if the Horn is over the military stuff, well, Weatherman is more over the business stuff. The Pillarman also, or the Pillar also has Pillarmen who report right to the Pillar, just like the Horn and the Weathermen. And then the Horn has Fists, who is in charge of Fingers, and anyway, they both kind of operate this way, and it was fun to see some of that structure. And there's a lot of great lore of why it is brought to those points, and the best thing I can say is this is very much. I was very much immersed into this city. You could almost you could see the sights and smell the streets, and you very much are there. At least I had that experience, and so really has that going for it. Now, a lot of the stuff I like to read, I like when it has some philosophical sort of undertones or metaphors and analogies and things like that. This is really just kind of a plot popcorn. I don't want to call it popcorn fiction because that makes it sound cheap, but very much modern urban fantasy where it would be great to see. This seems like something you'd see on Netflix or something. A big show going over. This seems like one or two seasons of a great TV show, or people would just be gripped. And so it was always moving forward. The magic system has to do with this jade that is found on this island. There are certain people that can wield this jade. If you're familiar with something like a mistborn, instead of these different metals, it's jade, and if you come in contact with it, it can enhance these different abilities and things like that. And even without the jade, it would have been a pretty good story. Even though the jade is integral to it, I don't think it leaned on that magic system as a crutch in any way. This was pretty good on its own. And so I this is not the type of thing I usually am looking for, but I needed a palate cleanser, and now that I've read the one, I almost feel like I should just go through the next two so I don't forget who's who, because I am quite invested at this point and I don't want to lose that momentum. So I think I will be going into the next two shortly to make sure it's a trilogy that I don't get one or two into and uh, and just fall off with it. So the main characters we have, we do follow the pillar closely of No Peak and his weatherman and his horn, and we have these different schools where people go and go through these trials, and then they can give their loyalty to they can give their loyalty to a clan if they choose to, and whatever else. So I think it was good. I don't think it necessarily blew my socks off, but it was a great prologue into something that it feels like it's building towards something pretty cool. Pretty cool here. So I would give it a thumbs up. It was a great palate cleanser for something different, and she wrote a great city, a very vibrant, breathing city with many characters who, it wasn't just two or three characters. There were a lot of characters in this, and it was easy to keep track of them because they were different enough and thought out enough where kudos to Fonda Lee on this one. This was fun, and again, if that content warning it wasn't so vulgar the whole way through, if that's a thing that bothers you, there were some of those things like that, obviously violent, and that sexual content warning at the start, where I thought, oh, this is more explicit than almost anything I read. Just this one part. I hope it doesn't have this throughout, and it didn't. So I will talk to you guys on the next one and pick it up. If you think I will do a trilogy review when I finish it, whenever that happens. And again, talk to you soon. Bye bye.